Hello, welcome back to my channel. Yes, Nick is not here yet. He's having a sync right now. He's a bit late, but yes. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Go subscribe to Nick over here. He will be here in just a second. And is City winning a title on 74 points still on? Not sure. I think it is. I think it is. You never know, innit? You never know. Maybe Liverpool just lose every game to the end of the season. You never know, bro. You never know. And Arsenal lose every game except for like the game at Anfield for the rest of the season. I think it's I think it's happening. You know. I think Man City is gonna win the title on like 57 points. Real shit, isn't it? But no title on 74 points, I'm afraid. We're just waiting here for Nick to join, so... Why is my mic doing this again? 1 second, my mic is being annoying. Why does my mic always do this when I start these streams? I'm not sure. But yeah. It's, next thinker and hoe goed, bro. Nick will be here in a second. He will be here in a second, so let's just wait on him. But, I'm gonna start off here a bit ass backwards. I'm gonna start talking about the Carabao Cup, because, let's be honest, Man City is not in the Carabao Cup anymore, and it's not the most interesting subject, so I'll start off with that, and then we'll talk about, like, other stuff about, like, the Premier League games recently, then we'll talk a bit about, I don't know, Champions League going forward and stuff, so we're gonna start up with the, I guess, boring stuff. Let me just do that strong one. 1 second. Nick is running late. Let me put up this banner here. There you go. So yeah. Nick running a bit late at the moment. My apologies for that. In the meantime, let's talk about something, by the way. All over the internet. Is it okay for Lewis Skelly, whatever his name is, Miles Lewis Skelly, to do that celebration? Is it not okay? A lot of people are triggered about that celebration. And you know where I'm at? I'm at this stage, right, where I'm like, who cares? Who actually cares? Like, it's a disgrace, blah blah blah. Let's be honest. Haaland insulted him. He insults Haaland back. Is that a big deal? I'm not really sure if that's something that people should be too worried about. Like, there's so much controversy. Man City fans are triggered. Arsenal fans are triggered. Everyone is salty, bro. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, at the end of the day, what happens on... You know, they used to say, what happens on the pitch stays on the pitch. And I don't think that people live by that anymore. I think people nowadays live by... I have a constant need for attention, so I'm gonna make controversy about everything. Like, some of these things, like Haaland saying stay humble, that has become a big thing. How is that even a controversy? like he's just patting Arteta on the back and he's like saying stay humble. But that becomes a controversy. I don't understand how people make controversy out of everything. Like, it's quite pathetic if you ask me, honestly. It's just boring, you know? It's just boring, like... We're hardly even talking about football anymore. It's referees that we're talking about. It's celebrations that mean nothing. It's a disgrace, yada yada. What about the game? I swear to God, I have not seen anyone talk about the game. Has anyone talked about the actual game? Anyway? No, people talk about what's happening around the game. Are you even watching the game then? Why do you watch football? To see players taking the piss out of each other? Or to see them play the game? Like, you know what I'm asking here. It's weird. It's a weird obsession. And both sides are triggered, you know. You know what it is? Man City fans are salty that they got destroyed. Arsenal fans are salty that they don't have trophies. Liverpool fans are salty that they're seeing that their title rival potentially is playing well. So everyone is salty and everyone makes controversy about it. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at in it. Because you see people on the internet, oh, Arsenal fans are rattled. Well, so are Man City fans. And Liverpool fans. Every fan base here has people that are just perpetually rattled. People just seek for reasons to be rattled, let's be honest. Some people are just pathetic like that. Yeah, exactly, Daciot. Neville complaining about Gabriel. Gabriel shouting in the face of Haaland. This man ran across the pitch in a Liverpool game to shout at Liverpool fans. But he's complaining at Gabriel, shouting at the guy who threw a ball into the back of his head after they scored a goal. Weird stuff, really. Weird stuff. I'm not sure how long Nick will be, so maybe I can go through Twitter here if... Sven Goran Eriksson would have been on his 77th birthday now, by the way. Guys, I know what to talk about. Give me a second to share my screen here. And to get a picture. This has nothing to do with the Premier League, but it's interesting to talk about anyways. Let me share my screen here. Share the screen. And let's put this banner on again. So, yeah, this trophy lift, by the way. Would you look at that? Now, the golden shoe, for those who don't know, the golden boot in Belgium, it's not for the top scorer. The golden boot in Belgium is like the best player of the season award. Why the fuck is this taking so long to load? It's like the best player of the season award, and they give a different award to the top scorer. Why is this not loading? My internet is just... Well, this is loading. No, it isn't. Is Twitter having a problem? Twitter outage. Well, I don't see anything. Yeah, just taking the piss here. Internet stinker and hooked, bro. Internet stinker and hooked. Yeah, let's not play this, though. What can I say, though? This man... Like, just look at this trophy lift, bro. That's a bad one of it. I'm trying to find a better one. Let's go to the club page here. My man Van Aken, player of the season, again. And a message from Nick here coming in. I'm in. Oh, there you go. Oh my days, why is my internet... Twitter is very laggy right now. Not sure if you're having that problem. Anyhow. Logged in. There we go, Nick, hello.
What's going on? Apologies for my tardiness. I can hear you.
Okay, now you can. Now I can hear you. I could not hear you. I had you muted. Sorry, my apologies.
Live streaming, eh?
Yeah. How are you? Let's start off with that. How are you, Nick?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, a bit hungover, I can't lie, but mostly fine. I need to learn to mind the time. Man. I need to learn to mind the time. But yeah. So, I've got a few topics here prepared for the stream. Not sure if we'll be able to get through everything, but I want to start with the Carabao Cup because I think that's the least interesting to talk about. So, I mean, let's be honest. You're gonna win against Tottenham, right?
We should be. I mean, we're in a goal down. We should be winning 100%. We should be through. A 1-goal deficit, a full strength Liverpool team, Tottenham coming to Anfield under the lights. Yeah, it reads of a Liverpool win, but you just never know sometimes with these games.
Yeah. I mean, my problem with Tottenham is, I mean, they beat us, but how big of a feat is that? My problem with Tottenham is, you know what they're gonna do. You just know what they're gonna do. And Liverpool has weird games against Tottenham sometimes. But I feel like that one game where Tottenham played good, that is a one game. And I don't feel like they're gonna be able to do that consistently. I doubt they're gonna be able to get a draw at Anfield. Let's stand or win. If they do get, let's say it's a 1-goal win for Liverpool. I think Liverpool wins on penalties because Liverpool has more clutch players. And even if they get to the final, I just don't think that this team is consistently capable of getting results, this Tottenham team.
It's a fair shout. Like, depending on who's going to play. Like, obviously, we have the Arsenal game to play first tomorrow away to Newcastle. That's going to be a more interesting game, I'm thinking, because Newcastle need to overturn the 2-0 deficit, and then Arsenal, and then. But then again, if Newcastle get 1 goal, it makes it even harder for Arsenal then. But to look on our game first, playing the day after, it'd be interesting, but. I don't know, depending on who Tottenham put out for me. That's what it is. Now, also hearing rumors that Van de Ven might have done his hamstring even more so, and then he could be out for much longer, which would be not a good thing. But they are still missing players. They got no Solanke, they got no Werner. Dragoshin seems out as well. He's done he's crucial, so he's gone. Madison, maybe if they risk him on the bench. Romero's out as well, so it's touch and go for Tottenham at the moment. But with us, like, we've got a full strength team, so I expect us to go full tilt. Tottenham to defend and try to get something on a counter attack is possible, but how likely is the question.
I've watched them. I've watched them a bit this season, not a lot, but a bit. They cannot defend. They can simply not defend. When they had Van de Ven, they still could not defend very well. Without Van de Ven, I think it's a hopeless endeavor for Tottenham.
I don't know. It's if they don't have their defenders, but they were playing Dragoshin first up as a centre back. He's out now. So who are they going to do? They're going to put in the new guy, Danzo, if they're going to play him, and Matthias Tell if they're registered. So they're going to have to throw him in there if there's only centre back they got. And they might have to play Archie Gray centre back again. So they're in a bit of a tough situation. Yes, the midfield is decent. Their forward line is, whatever their forward line is. But defensively, that's going to be the difficult part. I'm not saying it's a given, but based on all circumstances, the squad, the atmosphere that's going to be there, the occasion, Liverpool having done it in the past, Tottenham with, players out, there could be for a long night. And if we score in the first 10 minutes, then it's all on in the game, effectively.
I think if you scored in that first 10 minutes, it's going to be Tottenham collapse. I think there will be absolute collapse if you scored quickly. But I think what's going to happen is you're going to score after like 60 minutes, and then it's going to stay close for a while. And then Tottenham is going to get tired, and then you're going to bang in 2 or 3 goals more. That's what I think will happen.
This is the worry, like, we have as like Liverpool fans as well, that the longer the game goes on without us scoring, the more chance Tottenham have of getting a goal against us and making it 2-0, for example. Or if we score a goal and then we don't score a second goal, you run that risk. That's the only tricky thing there. But I'm confident in the players we have. I'm confident in the squad. Like I said, all the mainstays will be back. So I don't see why it wouldn't be. But again, it's a game of football. You have no idea. Like, we've seen, stranger things happen in football. So we just wait and see what happens, I suppose.
Yeah, as you should be. You should be confident. But I will say, personally, I do think Newcastle will win the cup. And I've got a comment here from Dasil as well. Only God can stop them from winning that cup. They're motivated for it. Because obviously, they want that cup very badly. They will focus 2 weeks on that final, throw away league games, just to get some silverware finally over the line. That is what I think. I don't think Arsenal is going to score 2 at St. James's Park. Let's stand win by 2, because I think Newcastle will probably score some goal off the counter. I think they're going to go to the final. I don't think it matters who they play. I think they'll be so prepared for that final in a way that Liverpool and Tottenham will not prepare themselves, that I think they will win it. But now we're looking too far into the future. Let's go back to a bit more into the present. I would like to start with Arsenal, but that's painful. So do you want to talk about the Bournemouth first?
You're running the show, man. Whatever you want to talk about, let's go. You run the shit. You steer the ship. I'll be second in command. Let's do it.
Great Lieutenant there. Yeah, it was humiliation, let's be honest. I've talked about a lot of these problems before. I believe before the PSG game, I actually said, this midfield can do a job for 50 minutes, and then it gets tired, and we collapse. Against PSG, after 55 minutes, we were 2-0 up. After 90 minutes, we collapsed. Arsenal, when did they score that second goal? 56 minutes, and then the collapse started. So, I think I've been right about this midfield. It's not a problem of ability, it's a problem of energy in that midfield. Once this midfield gets to 50, 60 minutes, it's done. Just can't operate anymore. And the only way to solve that, in my opinion, is not play that midfield, or make substitutions after 50 minutes or even at half time, to get some fresh legs in. For example, Grealish for Bernardo Silva. I think that would have allowed us to stay a lot more consistent throughout the second half, because I don't think we played as badly as people think, but we just had an utter collapse, and that's why we lost that badly. I think we could have gotten a result against Arsenal, but Pep Guardiola, he's got the problem where he waits too long, and I've criticized this for years. But when you say it, when Pep Guardiola wins trophies, well, you're stupid. But when you say it when Pep Guardiola is failing, now you're just negative, which is something very annoying, isn't it?
But that's the thing I don't understand. Just because you've got a manager that's been winning trophies and he's done these mad things at a club, for the better part of 10 years, like all of a sudden you can't criticize him, or you can't put forward just something you don't like, you pick something out. Like we would say, like for Jurgen Klopp, for example, like sometimes he leaves his substitutions a bit too late, and then we've lost that momentum where we were on there. We just needed somebody else to get in there and just get that little bit extra. And then other times he wouldn't make substitutions. So that was one thing that he was sort of like criticized for. With Pep, though, it's mad when you think, how dare you criticize a manager who's won all these trophies, who's done the work that he's done lately? Because nobody is above scrutiny. Everybody can get a little bit of criticism. You had a great game, cool. There's always something else in your game that you can improve on. Like you see, Pep will tell coach players on the pitch, halftime, full time. Yeah. Remember, he's sitting there yelling at them when you've won 3-1, and he's still sitting there like telling them bits and pieces. Like that's still criticism in that sense there. And only Man City fans will know themselves what they expect from Pep and how he operates. Like, yes, as rivals and other football viewers, we see what he does, but we don't know specifically because we're not like that in tuned with him. So you guys know better than us. But when he doesn't make subs, or when he doesn't put players on when he should, or if the players he's bringing on are the wrong players, then you criticize him. I think that's fair because, like you said, put some other players in the midfield. But then again, do you have the players for that midfield? That'd probably be another question that people are asking.
Yeah,
because, like I said, the midfielders running out of legs, man.
Yeah, I think that's... I don't think it's a problem of have you got the players, because Pep Guardiola has not even experimented. So you can't ask, do we have the players, when Pep refuses to even experiment whether there are players or not. You have to find solutions. If you don't try to find a solution, you're not going to get a solution. So you can't say, well, we don't have the players, so don't try to do anything, right? Grealish in midfield, try that. O'Reilly, try him. We've kept him. Chelsea wanted him. We've kept O'Reilly. If we keep him, why don't we play him? Like, that is my problem with it. You can't just say, oh yeah, you've got no other options, and then look at your other players that you have on the bench and say, yeah, we're not even gonna try. That doesn't work for me.
But do you think if he's experimenting, like, obviously you're in a battle for top four now, yeah, still in
Yeah.
the FA Cup, yeah, Champions League you snuck through, but playing against Real Madrid with the midfield you have, I've seen a lot of, you know, City fans a little bit cautious, a little bit wary, but you now have Nico Gonzalez come into the squad as a DM, so he surely shore up that era there, which means you don't have to play Gundogan over and over again. You can give Kovacic a break,
Yeah.
let's just say, and rotate a few other players there. But is this a time for him to be experimenting when you're trying to get back into that top four positions and qualify for European football next season? Or do you think, you know what, try and find the formula now so you know what you're looking for next season, if that makes sense?
Yeah, but I don't think that Pep should be experimenting now. I think he should have found the formula already. I think he should have experimented earlier in the season instead of playing the same system over and over. Uh, I think that when we got all the injuries right, okay, injuries is one thing, but Pep did keep playing a system that failed, and if we tried to find solutions earlier, we might have had a solution ready by the time we played against Arsenal. I think it was already a bit too late by the time we played Arsenal. I still think if you try to address that energy problem in the midfield, we become immensely better. So we have made new signings. Husanov did not play on right back, which I was kind of expecting. Either Husanov right back or Akanji right back and Husanov centre back. And then the argument you hear is, well, they're not ready. Then don't buy them or send them on loan. Because we've bought Yuma Ba. I've watched La Liga. I rate Yuma Ba. He's a steady Eddie. Always will give you a 7 out of 10, right? So he would have been able to play. You could have put him centre back, put Akanji right back, and then you don't have Mateus Nunes as right back. Then you can play Nunes in your midfield if you like. And that is just... There's so many ways that I've talked about throughout the last few months on this channel where you could have experimented and maybe found something that works. And Pep has done none of that. He's just played the same midfield over and over, and that is why I'm kind of fed up with him. That's that though. Let's talk about Bournemouth. Let's talk about Bournemouth, because for you it was a comfy win though, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know about comfy win, man. If you caught me doing my little watch along there was nervy
I got
moments.
the end.
Look, they hit the crossbar at the start. I think it was Semenya hit the crossbar or the post. They had a couple of chances. Obviously, we scored first with that penalty, and then they had a chance, and then Kirkic was offside by like millimeters, just fractionally offside. And then after that, it was a bit of a cat and mouse game. We had chances, hit against the keeper would save it or it'd go wide. They'd have a couple of chances as well. But Alisson didn't really have to make a save until the end of the game. Like when he had that deflection and he just like stuck a hand out and he saved it, which is like what we know Alisson to be. But then once Salah scored that lovely goal there, I think we still had 25 odd minutes in that game left. And that's where you're thinking, they're going to keep pushing forward, and they were pushing forward in the second half.
Yeah, with Liverpool. What I've seen from Liverpool, and I've not watched you a lot, but you don't concede a lot of goals, do you?
I think we've conceded 21 in the league so far. And at one point, it was like we had less than 10 goals conceded in like September or something like that, or October. I can't remember what it was. And then a few games here and there, and you have your crazy 3-3s against Newcastle, and then you concede first against Fulham and some other teams like that. And they slowly build up. 2-2 against United. We did go for a good run in the Champions League, so the defense there is not that bad. We conceded 5 goals, 3 of them coming in the last game with pretty much a fully rotated squad. So overall, the defense hasn't been that bad. It's more so conceding from the first opportunity we give the opposition. That's what always annoyed us as Liverpool fans, myself at least especially, because last season it was like that. Concede on the first chance that the opposition gets, and then we have to chase the game, and we'd have to win it 3-1, for example, which was nice to come from behind and win a game. But the last thing you want to be doing is stressing out, having been a goal down and just pushing to try and score yourself a win or frustrating yourself. Like, I don't want to be chasing games. I want to be leading games from the start. And that's what we did against Bournemouth. And I think they beat Newcastle the week before. They slapped up Forest. That was mad. And then Forest ended up slapping Brighton, which was just absolute madness as well. So Bournemouth are not a bad team. Maybe we just had a good day. Some will say fortunate with the penalty decision, but by all intents and
I don't think
purposes,
that
many
was a
people said
penalty.
I didn't as well when I first watched. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Then you see the replay, I'm like, it's a soft penalty. Like, if you're gonna call that foul in the middle of the pitch when there's like nothing happening, you're gonna call it in the penalty box. That's how I grade it. If it's
Yeah,
something you're gonna call in the middle of the pitch, then you're gonna call it in the penalty box because it's like, oh no, that's not a pen. It's like, but if the same thing happens outside the penalty box, you're gonna whistle for it. So
yeah,
it's just meant to be given a foul, but you don't take it from where it happened. You take it from this little center circle. That's all that is. So comfortable. Overall, it looks comfortable, but me watching the game, I'll tell you what, I wasn't comfortable. I was nervous in some instances, I'll tell you.
yeah. As you said earlier, you concede from the first time. That's from the first chance you concede. Yeah, we have that problem too at Club Brugge. That gets back to it. That's Club Brugge. We were winning 1-0 against Antwerp. We've got a cup game, semi-final against Genk. If we go to the final, we probably win the cup. So we took off our striker and we put on our second striker, and he missed three tap-ins. Then they scored a goal, their first chance, from 40 yards out to equalize. So yeah, I know how we know how that feels. We've had that problem so much at Bruges, but I would still, again, I've not watched Liverpool as much as obviously you have. I would feel comfortable with a 1-0 lead if I was a Liverpool fan, because I know this team is capable of stinking out results, whereas with Man City I don't quite have that same feeling.
It's crazy because it used to be the case where Man City, they would, even if they were a goal down, they'd still win 3-4-1 by the end of the
Yeah.
end of the game. You know what I mean? Like now it's like you hear like LB, for example, he'll say, nah, man, we need a second or third goal, maybe even a fourth goal to guarantee the win, which sounds a bit like Liverpool when Klopp first came there, because we were playing, the rock and roll football, gegenpress, we'll just outscore you. We'll concede, but we'll score more goals than you because the way we play is just, made for that. And nowadays, the defense is solid. Don't get me wrong. We have, quality defenders, quality midfield. Forward line is well stacked as well. Some players maybe have a little bit of a, is he good enough? Should he stay? Should he go? Type of thing. But let's say that conversation. But still, when we concede first, it's normally always off the first chance, like against Forest. First opportunity, concede the goal. And then we had to fight to get an equalizer back in the second half, which we did. And look, if it wasn't for their goalkeeper, his name Sells, I think it is, bro,
Yeah, not Cells.
it could have been 4-5. We could have scored 8. Jota could have had a hat trick in the 20 minutes he was on the pitch, scoring with his first touch from the corner with Simicast as well. But defensively, sometimes I still say like, this team's not getting past us. But other times, depending on where they are on the position on the pitch, I'm thinking, well, there's a lot of space on that side. If they just ping one diagonal ball over the top, Trent's out of position, Kanate has to stretch out, Van Dijk has to take that space, play another cross ball, whatever is on the other side, and drag 2v1s. It just becomes a little bit nervy, shall we say.
And I get that, but isn't that just like PTSD from Klopp? Because if I look at solely this season, I have not. I mean, you've conceded some unlucky goals and some just blatantly bad defending this season. But first of all, we've always been able to fight back in those games. Arsenal, for example, isn't doing that. When I look at Arsenal, this is why I don't think they'll win a title. They don't fight back like that. When you concede an unlucky goal, your players come together and they fight back. When you're 1 goal up with 20 minutes to go, I think you've won. I think you've pretty much won. And with Klopp, you didn't have that. And for Man City, it was the same when we played Real Madrid. We were 3 goals up at the Etihad in 2023, and I was still not comfortable that we were going to win. So I think sometimes you don't think about those things like maybe rationally, because you've had experiences with your club where it just goes absolutely out of hand. But I think that feeds into how you think about it then in an irrational way.
Maybe there is elements of that when you see like the way we play. Like someone made a good point in that Forest game when we were playing a little bit calm, a little bit composed, keep the ball, pass it around, don't force it type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody said it. What was it? Mike Das, maybe on a Liverpool stream. I can't remember. And he said something like, yeah, actually made me think. I'm like, he goes, when the players go on the pitch and what they're being told isn't working for them, and they're seeing the clocks running down, they're not really creating anything. They revert back to their a Klopp brain, shall we say, where they think, you know what, let's just do what we used to do when we needed a goal, just attack the team, just pummel, just attack them nonstop, relentlessly. They're going to make a mistake, they're going to concede something, we're going to jag a goal here, and then after that, either they hold on and we keep pressing them, or they come out and play and we hit them on a counter attack. That's normally what would have been the deal. So it's like they do go back into that mindset. I don't think it's PTSD, but I think there is still that element of, well, this is what we used to do and it's not working, so let's just do what we used to do because that always worked for us in a way. I don't know if that's even from Slot. Like, obviously you don't want to go against the manager's direction, because you do that, then obviously you could be subbed, hooked, fined, whatever they do for disciplinary reasons in the clubs themselves. But unless Slot said to him, okay, you know what, just do what you guys do. You guys have been playing together for 3 or 4 years, some longer. Just do your thing. Get yourself some goals. We didn't get the goals in the Forest game. It is what it is. But you just, in that mindset, you just switch on. So it's not PTSD, but it's reverting back to a type that you're familiar with.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I've just got 2 comments here from chat asking where I think Man City will finish. So I think we should start talking a bit about top 4 race. First, though, I'll read out the Silt's comment here. I love the Silt. No homo. I've known this man for 3 years. He's a Bayern München fan, by the way. He wanted Omar Marmoush 3 years ago. Like, he was talking about this young talent in Germany right now, Omar Marmoush. I trolled this guy so hard when we signed him. He is still salty about that. Man City should be comfortably top 4 with all those signings. I agree. This is why I love him. If they're not top 4, I really don't understand how you can argue against sacking Pep. We got better after he left. I love Bayern München fans, man. I love Bayern München fans. We should be comfortably top 4, though. With all those signings, I mean, did we spend like 200 million? Something like that? We spent
at
more
least
than
120, 150. Bro, like, man, people are spending more on super chats than some clubs are spending in January, put it that way. You bought players. You got your midfielder in Gonzalez. You got your centre back in Reis and Kusanov, wherever he plays. I don't know if he's a left back or a centre back, but you got 2 defenders. You got your wing in Marmoush.
Kusanov is a centre back, but he can play right back.
Yeah, so that doesn't make sense. So, like you said, why wouldn't he play someone as a right back, and then you don't have to play Nunez at right back, because he's not a right back. He's playing like wing backs, but that doesn't make sense. So you got players in there because you needed those positions. Still, though, that right back position is a question mark, because if Stones is pushed up into the midfield, let's just say you want to push him into the DM, which Pep likes to do sometimes, then he would put Diaz behind him. But if Diaz is injured, then he has to play Stones there. Like, I'm pretty sure that's like what he does. If it doesn't have Gvardiol at left back and he wants to put Gvardiol in the centre back, then he'll play Kusanov left back. But again, young kid, was 18 years old, like inexperienced. He has to, try and adapt quickly. We saw the nerves he had against Chelsea the other week. So yeah, Premier League is unforgiving. But the squad you have, maybe it's just a matter of the stamina, like the legs in the team. Like, the players are getting older, and when service isn't going towards Haaland, he's not really delivering. He's not the striker to take the ball from deep, run it himself, and score a goal.
What Erling Haaland is, because a lot of people think Haaland is bad on the ball, which isn't true, but he's just not good in central areas. Erling Haaland, if you watch him at Dortmund, if you watch him at Norway, what he likes to do is he likes to go down the wings. Which is why I think we have Marmoush. Because Marmoush can go into the wings, he can go into the striker spots. Haaland will be allowed to roam a lot more down the wings, and will be allowed to be involved a lot more in build-up play when we have Marmoush, I think. Which is why I think he's a really good signing for us. He just suits Haaland, who, again, he's not good in central areas, but let him go to the wings, and he can do some really good stuff. Interesting stat about Haaland, he is the most consistent crosser at Man City. He doesn't have a lot of crosses, but he actually has the best crossing stat at Manchester City right now. Which,
Haaland.
yeah, Haaland. Because he does make a lot of crosses, but he never misses his crosses. When he makes a cross, it always comes to the right place. So you could argue, okay, small sample size, but I've watched him at Dortmund. He has some really good crossing on him, and people who only watch the Premier League maybe don't know that aspect from Haaland. I look at the cross that he gave to Foden against Man United in 3 different games. In 3 different games against Man United, he gave a cross into Haaland, into Foden, and he made all really good crosses. Foden scored from 2 of them. So I think Haaland is underrated in one aspect because people try to compare him to Kane. But I think Haaland is closer to a Bell type player than to a Harry Kane. So I think people make the wrong comparison. So I think we should get top 4 comfortably because I think Nottingham Forest, for one, will actually drop down the table. Not sure what you think about that.
Well, that's an interesting one there. Look, like I said in like previews before the Arsenal game, I said one half of me wants Arsenal to win because it keeps Man City like further down. It doesn't give them that sniff, the little bit of injection. Like, okay, we got ourselves a win here. Now let's gain the momentum that we know they're very popular with at the latter end of the season. On the other hand, though, I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind a City win because then that takes points away from Arsenal. Which means that, you know, we can gain more of a distance at the top there, which gives us a little bit more leeway if we were to drop a game here or there. But you guys, the squad you have should be, but your defense is probably what it's going to come down to, man. If your midfield is going to be overrun by other teams just bypassing that press that you guys have been so renowned for, it's like eventually, like, you know, like a machine. You overwork a machine, eventually it falls to bits when you don't replace the parts.
Yeah,
Even when you replace the parts, sometimes they're not of the same quality, but they'll get the job done for you in a way. Like, you get a good part, it'll still do the job. Like, it's an aftermarket. It's not an original part where it's like, yeah, this is top notch. It's aftermarket, but it's still quality enough to get the job done in a way. And you just have to build on that. The squad there with the new players, I don't know if Pep's going to be trying to do his, you know, bleeding in thing, or just say, okay, starting 11, yep, you're in. Marmoush, you're starting. Kusanov, left back. All right, let's go. Just like we train, sort of a thing, and just maybe hope for the best. You guys should be, based on the squad you have, but in terms of like form and momentum that other teams have as well, like Nottingham Forest, everyone's looking at Forest like, what the hell are they doing there? But they've been consistent throughout the season. They you know, Nuno's got them running a tight ship. They've got, you know, a decent squad. The defense plays when it needs to. You know, obviously they got packed by who did they get packed by just the other Bournemouth? Yeah, they smacked them, you know, 5-0, and then they beat Brighton 7-0. So it's a madness. Their midfield works hard. They got pace on the attack, on the counter attack, which we know as well. Obviously, the first game we played at Anfield, you know, Alanga and Hudson-Odoi with the counter attack on us, and, you know, Chris Wood scoring goals. So they are still up there. If they can maintain their form, they should be finishing top 4. But that's a big if. Arsenal have to go there. I think you guys still have to play them away as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, so there are still
I
teams to
don't
go.
think they will hold on to that form. And the reason why is they have a good starting 11. And a good starting 11 gets you half a season, right? But if you don't have the bench, you don't have that second half of the season in you. I haven't seen from Nottingham yet that they really have that bench. So I do think, come second half of the season, the bench is going to have to play more, or they'll have to play tight players. That's when they'll start dropping points in weird games. In the bigger games, they'll make sure everyone is fit and they'll get the results right. But in the like games where you're playing against lesser opponents, where you're trying to rely on your bench, that's where I think they'll drop points this season. And maybe it's a bit hopeful on my part that they'll drop down, but if I look at the rest in the Premier League right now, Newcastle is inconsistent. They get a good result one game, then they lose against Fulham at home, I believe it was. So they're inconsistent at the moment. Chelsea very inconsistent. So When I compare, by the way, top 4 this season, after 24 games, I've got an interesting stat here. After 24 games, in 22-23, you needed 44 points to get top 4. And 23-24, you needed 47 points to get top 4 and 46 points to get top 5. This season, you have top 4 with 43 points, which is the weakest top 4 in the past 3 seasons. So top 4 this season is not that strong if we compare it to previous seasons. So I think top 4 is very manageable for us, really. I just think you're going to walk the title. I think you'll drop points yourself in random games, but Arsenal will do the same. How many points do you think Liverpool will get? Let's ask that.
I don't know. I don't do the whole maths thing, but effectively, I think they're saying like Liverpool at the moment, if they win games, that we're on course for like high 90s. If that's the case, because we only, we've lost one game, and I think we've drawn. How many games we've drawn? A couple of, a few draws here and there as well. So it's not to say it's the worst thing. If we get high 80s, maybe low 90s, perhaps, maybe, but that means we keep going and we don't drop points, we don't lose, we don't draw. But I don't think that's possible. I think in at least 2 or 3 games, something is not going to go our way. I think most likely they're going to be draws. The Everton game after the Carabao semi and the FA Cup game against, I think it's Plymouth. Then we've got the Everton game on the 13th, I think it is, or the 12th, whatever it is, of Feb. That's going to be the one. If we get a win from there, then smooth sailing for me. If we drop points, we get a draw, not the worst thing, but people will be looking and thinking, okay, maybe there's something there, because Everton, last Goodison Merseyside derby, Moyes is back again. It's mid 2000s, feel good factor over there. They're scoring goals as well, winning 4-0 and shit like that.
When we beat you to the title, by the way, I can't remember the season. Was it 18-19 or was it 21-22? You had less defeats than us, but you took up more draws. So and you then win the title because of the amount of draws you picked up. But I'm gonna assume you're gonna get like 90 points, like a flat out 90. I don't think Arsenal is getting there. Like, they're high on confidence because they beat us. I'm sorry, that is not a big accomplishment right now. Beating us, like congratulations. You will take Ange Postecoglou then, right? He beat us 4-0 at our own place. So, not a big achievement if I'm being honest. But they're high on confidence because of it. Now go on. I think their next league game is it also Newcastle? Let me actually check this. They have a tough.
Press the wrong damn button.
They have a tough game coming up, don't they, in the league? Let's see.
I think they got Leicester next.
Okay,
I
Leicester,
don't know
and
who else they've got.
West Ham, that's a falling block for Arsenal quite a few times. Nottingham Forest, let's see how good they are at that time. Then they've got Man United. I mean, they're unpredictable at the moment, aren't they? Then Chelsea, Fulham. That's 2 derbies in a row. Then they start getting some easier games. But oh my days, sad end of the season, by the way. You know the last 3 fixtures for Arsenal this season? The final 3.
I think we play them, if not the third last, I think it's like the one before it, maybe.
You play them the third last at Anfield. Then they play Newcastle at home. And then they play Southampton away. So they end on an easy game. But those 2 games right before the of Boxer Day, that is a tough few days, isn't it?
Yeah, coming to Anfield especially, that, like, if we drop points and they gain, if we drop points we get a draw or a loss, that will make things interesting. If we still maintain after that, if it's still 2 points, 5 points, 1 point, 3 points, whatever it is, then that could be the ultimate decider. You win at Anfield and then you pretty much have the league sorted, if that's the case. Because if there's only 2 games after that, if we're already 7 points ahead at that point, then even if they get their 2 wins, and doesn't matter, we would have been a point ahead. So that'll be an interesting game. everything considered, it still remains tight, leading up to that game.
Absolutely. I also want to talk a bit about Bournemouth because you mentioned them earlier. I mean, at the Vitality Stadium right now, they've got no win against us before they were terrible. They got a win against Arsenal. They've got that win against Nottingham Forest, that 7-0. Vitality Stadium is kind of living up to its name, isn't it?
It is a little bit. They do seem like they have a bit of energy in that place there, and it's a small stadium as well. And you'll hear fans and then players as well when they go there, and they say it's a small stadium, it's tight knit, everyone's on the back of you. You can hear what everyone is saying, but they're no easy beats. They beat Arsenal, they beat you guys. People say, "Oh, we had a comfortable game." I maybe that's just my nerves thinking we didn't, but maybe we did. But we got a result there. I think. Was it Chelsea beat them? I think it was. Obviously, they've also beaten teams there as well. Tottenham they beat. They're not a easy team to play against at home, especially. Away, different story. But at home, Bournemouth is not an easy game. So don't let the scoreline with us fool anybody. They'll say, yeah, but Liverpool are top, so they're expected to win. Okay, you're expected to win, but the game itself might not go as the way you planned because you're playing Southampton, and we had to, scrape out a 3-2 at Southampton, and they were last way back when. So you can be first, you can be last. It doesn't make a difference, man. No easy games in the Premier League, but especially at Bournemouth. When Bournemouth play at home, I always sit there like, okay, maybe there's something possible here when they play at home. So Bournemouth, they're no team to be looking down upon.
So far, Bournemouth has won every game against our Big Six club at the Vitality Stadium, with the exception of Chelsea and Liverpool. So,
damn,
that is a good run of form by Bournemouth there. I mean, they're playing like Zywon or Quickscope. If you know that reference, big up to you. But Bournemouth is playing really well right now. But let's look below Bournemouth at Relegation Battle to end this stream up. Wolves got away very easily. If you look at the Relegation Battle right now, I think Wolves had their first win after 12 games, 13 games. They got away so easily from that Relegation Battle. They're on 19 points now, and they're not winning games. They're losing over and over. They have like 1 win in 5. And they're still just climbing their way up so easily. How weak is that relegation bracket right now?
I don't know, man. When you see the teams there, even Ipswich, getting, they had the turnaround against Tottenham was a month or two ago, getting in their first win. And then they got to play Villa next. Southampton have to play Bournemouth. So you assume Bournemouth are going to win that game anyways, because it's Bournemouth. Wolves have to play us, I think next weekend, I believe it is. So it's one of them weird situations where you look at Wolves on 19 points and, Cunha just re-signed. Is that going to give him another kick to say we're going to keep on going there, new manager in and whatnot? The relegation battle, I mean, Southampton, maybe you would have expected. Everton were looking there or thereabouts, and they're still not exactly out, but they've got more than enough points, I think. Yeah, I think they got more than enough points to stay up now. They were, on the brink before that. I mean, even West Ham, look at West Ham on 27, Tottenham on 27, and United on 29 as well. So, we laugh, but you know what I mean? I don't think they're going to be relegated. I think they'll have enough to stay up there in those, lower mid positions. But Leicester, they just don't look. They look in all sorts. Ipswich just don't look like they have enough. And dare I say, if they get relegated, which they look like they will, clubs will be looking to get, Liam Delap and maybe one or two other players. Same with Southampton. They got a couple of players there as well. You just don't know if these teams, man. It's. I tell you what, though, it doesn't have the same feel in the relegation battle as it would when Burnley was there, or when you had West Brom, or when you had Stoke, for example, like the relegation scraps. That's like what I think of like prime Barclays relegation scraps.
I don't think we have had a good relegation battle in at least 5 years, at least 5-6 years. I think it's been always the 3 clearly worst teams. Sometimes one team that is like just above that, will they not get relegated, but an actual relegation scrap. We've not seen that for a long time, I think, in the Premier League. So that also raises the question about, like, is financial gap too big? Like, these newly promoted sides would be 2 seasons in a row where the newly promoted sides immediately get relegated. To that, I would say, two things can be true at once. You look at what Wolves is spending; they're not exactly spending big. Everton, like that region, they're not spending big, so they have the capacity to spend more, but they haven't. But at the same time, teams in the Premier League do have a bit of a financial advantage. I just don't think that's much of an excuse. I think people do talk about that a lot, though.
It's well, like I said, new teams come up and pretty much automatically those same teams go down. Very rarely do you have a team that surprises people. Like I remember when Brentford first came through, it was like, oh, Brentford. And I remember Watford were in the mix. And then I remember you also had what do you call it? Like Nottingham Forest as well, coming back to the Premier League as well. Like they, didn't finish that greatly the year or two before that, but now look at them, they're in third place and pushing Big Six opposition and making it difficult for everybody else.
They got multiple FFP charges as well, or PSR charges,
yes,
because they kept spending. They just kept spending, and a lot of people are like, well, you can't spend money constantly, but Nottingham Forest has spent money, and it's clearly paid off now, so...
I mean, if you consider last season, they finished in 17th, like, they just about escaped relegation by, 6 points, right? They got 2 wins in the last 5 games, and that was enough for them to get out, to stay afloat, right? And then you see what they've done now. They had 20 losses last season, only 9 wins. I think so far this season, like if you look at Nottingham Forest, for example, they've got 14 wins, 5 draws, 5 losses. So it's a big difference. It's a big jump from where they were last season. And you know what? Sometimes it does take a little bit of patience and some planning ahead. And, like you don't have to get like the best players from every team, but you look at the players that you can get, like they got Alanga, who played at Manchester United, Hudson-Odoi, who was at Chelsea. You get these sort of players who've played for the big clubs. Like they're good, but they're not that level to break into the first team consistently. So you take them off their hands and then they still make a name for themselves there and just build from that. Chris Wood, what they got him from Burnley, I think he played at Newcastle at one point as well. They do have these players who can do a job. It just depends, like you said, if their strongest 11 stays fit, do they get the jobs done? If everything goes their way, they have a tight plan, everything works. I mean, shit, look at Leicester, 7-8 years ago now.
Yeah.
Who would have thought Leicester would win the league after, coming through? It's just these
Even
things
more
happen.
so. I think a lot of people don't talk enough about the season before Leicester won it. Because before Leicester won it, they were at the bottom of the table almost all season. Then at the end of the season, they got like 5 or 6 wins in a row, something like that, to claw their way out of relegation. So, I mean, late things can happen, especially with Leicester. Like, Leicester City, they're only 2 points off. I think if any of the 3, Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton, are to survive, it will be Leicester. But I don't think they will.
I don't know. It's still hard. It's still a lot of football to play, and especially when they start playing against themselves in that position, that's where you start thinking who's going to stay, who's going to go. I mean, Ruud coming into Leicester. I mean, they look all sorts, but then they'll win one game and then they'll lose the next 2. It's hard to pick which team's going to have like the worst form, shall we say? At the moment, Ipswich have got the worst form out of the other 2 teams because they've had 1 draw and 4 losses, where the others have had 4 losses and 2 wins. But Ipswich are sandwiched in the middle somewhere, so they still have to play. And Arsenal playing Leicester next, they're not going to win that game. Southampton playing Bournemouth, I don't think they're going to win that game. Ipswich playing Aston Villa, I don't know about that either. And they're playing Aston Villa away. They're playing Villa at Villa Park.
Yeah, so there's still a lot of football to play there, obviously, but I think that all 3 of them will get relegated. I think Wolves, especially with their picking up form recently, even though they lost like 4 in a row or 5 in a row recently, I think they're just gonna claw out of that relegation battle, and I don't think Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton is gonna do enough to catch them. Before we end the stream here, is there any final thoughts on the transfer window for you? Because it's recently ended. with Liverpool, maybe other teams.
The only team that actually put some effort into this window was Aston Villa and Manchester City. Go figure. And Aston Villa are not even pushing for like a league or anything. They're just pushing to stay back into the European places.
Yeah,
After selling Duran for like 70 mil to Al Ahly
Saudi.
or wherever he went, like that's madness. So I've got a bit of money, but they got Rashford on loan. I think they got Asensio on loan as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we know Rashford's quality. Maybe he hasn't been the quality that we know he can have and has had in the past years, but there might still be a player in there. Maybe he can thrive at another club. Asensio getting some extra, players in the middle there. But Aston Villa still have a good squad as well. Rodgers is doing the business. You've also got players like Ollie Watkins who's there, but again, touted as potentially going to Arsenal, but that never happened. Ramsey's there as well. You know, they've got some players. Tielemans, McGinn runs around everywhere. It's mad. Villa, I think, are just trying to shore themselves up so they have the best chance possible to get back into Europe. But Man City, like we already spoke before, you guys are buying players. You guys know you need players. And I
Yeah,
think this sort of like it just adds to the banter aspect of, checkbook manager Pep, like needs to spend money to have the players type of thing. But realistically, you got to spend the money to get the players. I think it's just because he left it and it's come to this now, similar to how Liverpool were last season, the season before, where our midfield collapsed. Fabinho, his legs fell apart. Henderson wasn't the same Henderson. Wijnaldum went, to I don't know where he went. I think it went to France or went to Saudi Arabia at the time. I can't remember.
yeah.
Our midfield just went, and we had to buy new players in there, and it took maybe a good season to actually get the flow going because Klopp had the system and everyone knew what they're doing. So Pep should be more than good enough, as we know, to get that up and running. It's just, is there going to be enough time to get it up and running to a point where you guys can crawl back into the top 4 place? Because, of course, you have the likes of Arsenal, Forest, Chelsea are still floating in and around. Newcastle are still there as well. We're up in first place at the moment. The only two clubs that spent money. We didn't spend money. So I'm going to do a video now and just
Did you
explaining,
get
because people
anyone?
said like, no,
No.
nobody, no
Yeah.
loans, no nothing. So people were asking me as well, Nick, where are you going to finish? Are Liverpool winning the league? I said, you know what? I'll give you my honest assessment after January, once we see what happens. Well, nothing's happened in January. So now I have to be honest and say it's do or die. It's going to be a
Yeah.
miracle if we make it through the rest of this season and we win this league with the players in the squad we have. We've had what?
Arsenal
One
did not do anything
one
either,
buy.
though.
Yeah, sorry, say again?
Arsenal did not get any signings either, though.
Arsenal either. No, but we've had one player signed in 2 or 3 transfer windows. Chiesa, who's barely played football this season. And people expect us to win the league. Oh, but you got a great squad. No one was saying that before the season kicked off. Now,
Yeah.
after they see the run, oh, Arne Slot's a great manager. Yes, he knows how to work it. Oh, but Klopp left you a good squad. Yeah, but all we heard
If
when
Man
Klopp left is
City,
like, are your
if you
cards
look at Man
finished?
City,
And
yeah, last season, I believe after 24 games, Man City was at 60 points. Like, I know that's last season, but imagine if Man City was currently at 60 points. They would be 4 points ahead of you, I believe. Nobody would be talking about, oh yeah, we've got a great squad, if Man City was on that form again. So, I think it's a bit of people being a bit revisionist, and I'm not saying you don't deserve the title, by the way, if you win it. You deserve it because you've got a great coach making great work with a limited amount of resources, and I respect that. I also think managers should spend money. Like, if you're not a checkbook manager, then you're not a good manager, because managers need to spend the resources that they have wisely. That's what makes a good manager, in part, makes a good manager for me. So, I think Pep waited too long to get these signings in. We've got them now. Nico Gonzalez, he's being hyped up a lot, but this season is already done. All we're hoping for is FA Cup. If we get past Real Madrid, we can start talking about Champions League. But we should get top 4. That and FA Cup should be priority. Champions League, that is a bonus. I don't see us getting to that final. If we somehow get to the semis, full send it, but we have made our signings. Let's see how effective they actually are this season. And for me, it's just, we're not catching Liverpool, we're too far behind. Liverpool have not done their job in the window. They'll win a title, I think, but I don't think that means you've done your job in the transfer window, and I think that will come back to bite you in the future. When players start to leave, or players start to get old, and you haven't gotten their replacements in beforehand, you'll have what Man City has right now. You had that in 2021. You won a title, then make signings. You dropped off the season afterwards because you didn't refresh. Man City, same story. Last season, we won the title, then got players in, dropped off. I mean, I can't be more brutally honest than that. It's poor management on a club.
100%. You have to have the squad going. And like I said, I think I put a tweet out earlier on before, something saying about, oh, Liverpool will be very busy in the summer. And I think I said something
Haven't you
to the
said
effect,
that 5
oh,
seasons ago?
bro, yeah, every year we hear it. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I've heard it non-stop. Let me just check what it was. Because, what did I say? Where was it here? Because, like, yeah, Liverpool will be very busy in the transfer market in the summer. And I said the summer should be expected, but why didn't they move for 1 or 2 players in January? We have 3 key players still in limbo with their contracts, 3 or 4 more contracts expiring in 1 to 2 years. If we take this league and or more slot, and the players deserve statues for their efforts. No credit to the owners per se, but the owners got you those players, 3-4 years ago, not now. Oh, but the owners got you the manager. Yes, but look at what the manager is working with. It's like I always said, how can we maintain a title charge if we don't have extra players, but you have great depth and everything else in between? Okay, yes, that's cool. But how many of the same players are being used? Chiesa's fit on the bench. Oh, we'll give him 5 minutes. Why would you give Chiesa 5 minutes? Give him 20 minutes. Let him run around. Let him do something. Oh, we need to score a goal. Let's bring on Darwin. By sheer luck, by miracle, he scored those 2 against Brentford to get us the win. And it doesn't excuse all the misses and the mishaps that he's had before that. It's just you get credit here and you get criticism there. That's how it works here. Not going to forget, oh, sorry, we forgot your Diaz. Where's Diaz been over the last 3-4 months? Scored, 5-6 goals at the start of the season. Hasn't really been the same player again. Yeah, it's nice that other players are stepping up. But we saw it when Szoboszlai wasn't there, the midfield looked lacking of energy. If Salah's not there, where do we get our creativity from? Now, Salah has been missing in the past. We have scored goals, but there are those questions that remain. And Chiesa's meant to be a type of Salah-like, not replacement, but if Salah comes off, you put Chiesa on there. We need sort of different players there. Can't be playing them non-stop. Gakpo's scoring goals, that's fantastic. We like to see that. Szoboszlai chipping in with goals and assists, we like to see that. Gravenberg's fantastic. But if Gravenberg has an injury, I can't play for 1 or 2 weeks, and it happens to be against, Man City at the Etihad, then I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, fuck, what are we going to do now? Okay, Man City don't have, the midfield legs, but shit, we're missing our linchpin in the midfield here, so we have to play Szoboszlai, McAllister, and like Jones, for example. And you probably play, Mac in the 10 like we did last season.
If you don't have the depth in midfield, then it doesn't matter that Man City's midfield is bad, does it? Because if you don't have the players to play, and like Man City's midfield can be bad. If your midfield is bad because you're missing one player, you're gonna have the same issue. So, that is something that is so dumb that I've talked about with someone else. And you should never talk to people on Twitter; they're stupid. But someone
good content, though.
Makes for some good content. Someone was trying to explain to me why Arsenal will beat Man City at the Etihad. This was earlier in the season. Because our midfield is not great. Because Rodri is not back, even though he was. And he did not believe me at the time that Rodri was back. And then he played, got immediately injured. So I was like, you have an injury right now to Odegaard. Even if Rodri is out, you have the same issues. So, some people just need to be able to wrap their mind around that, I think. It doesn't just matter what your opponent's issues are, you need to look at your own issues. And I feel like too many football fans don't want to look at the eternal issues. They want to look at the issues at other clubs. And that is just dumb, in my opinion. That is just dumb.
Yeah. Half empty for you, but half full for me. It's like, well, if you're missing your best defender and I'm missing my best attacker, it's sort of almost like a status quo type of thing because, the other attackers can't do the same thing my best attacker can, and your other defenders can't do the same thing that your best defender can. So it does cancel itself in a way, which means it's still an even game. But that's the world of football, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyhow, it's been great having you on for the first time. I enjoyed it. You're nice to talk to. no homo. But yeah, I've enjoyed
Keep
it
the
because
conversation going, man. That's
yeah.
all it is.
I've had a few people on now. I've started to get a few people on, yeah. You know what's funny, actually, Nick? You know what's funny? I was in a stream of yours. You were like doing you were talking about like a panel show, and someone asked, "Why don't you go on panel shows?" And then I was, and you gave like your answer, and I was like, "What? I am a university student. I don't have anything to do on Wednesdays." Well, let me just Wednesday morning gets Nick on to silence some people about, oh, you never talk to people. Well, Nick, a very difficult time periods to be in. I don't have anything to do on Wednesday, so I'm very happy to have you on. And you're just very nice to talk to because there are people who just scream and shout, but you're chill, and I like that. I like having a more chill conversation. So thank you for coming on. I'm excited to see you on in the future. We are going to redirect to a halftime hooks hit, so big up to him. Go subscribe to Nick if you somehow haven't already. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Hooks the crook. Thank you very much.